It was an ordinary spring afternoon in May 1930 when the impossible happened inside a modest maternity ward in the American Midwest. A young mother, exhausted after hours of painful labor, delivered not one, not two, not even three, but four identical baby girls. Asterisk, the doctors froze. Nurses gasped. Someone whispered a shaky, "My God." Asterisk, natural identical quadruplets were so rare that most doctors would go their entire careers without seeing a single case. The odds were estimated at 1 in 15 million births. Yet here they were, four tiny newborns, each weighing just about 2 kilograms, each with the same delicate features, the same translucent skin, the same fragile heartbeat. Asterisk, journalists arrived at the hospital within hours. Flashbulbs snapped as the stunned parents posed with their extraordinary daughters. For a few days, the family became a brief local sensation. The father, later known by the pseudonym Mr. Ginian, spoke proudly about his miracle girls, while their mother stood beside him quietly, tired, smiling, and unknowingly stepping into a future no parent could imagine. Asterisk, the babies were given names: Nora, Iris, Myra, and Hester, chosen in order of birth. Each sister separated by only minutes. At first, this birth order seemed meaningless. Later, researchers would discover that even minutes mattered. Asterisk, in their early months. The quadruplets thrived as well as premature infants could. They reached milestones almost in synchrony. If Nora smiled, the others smiled soon after. If one cried, the rest erupted seconds later in a chain reaction, so intense it shook their exhausted mother awake every night. Asterisk, to the world. The four girls were a marvel, identical, inseparable, almost mystical in their synchronicity. But behind closed doors, inside the modest Ginian home on a quiet Midwestern street, something else was forming. Something dark, something hidden. Asterisk, something that would eventually fracture four identical minds in four tragically different ways. Asterisk, by the time the girls entered childhood, the first cracks had already begun to appear, not in their bodies, but in the environment surrounding them. Asterisk, they did not yet know it. But the home they were born into would shape their destinies more powerfully than their shared DNA ever could. Asterisk, from the outside. The Ginian home looked perfectly ordinary. Asterisk, a clean yard, matching curtains, a neatly painted porch. Asterisk, but once you stepped inside, the air felt heavy, as if the walls themselves held their breath. Asterisk, Mr. Ginian, once proudly showing off his daughters, had become disturbingly possessive. Asterisk to him. The quadruplets were not Nora, Iris, Myra, and Hester. They were a set, a single unit he controlled completely. He dressed them identically every day, choosing their outfits himself. Asterisk, he monitored their movements, their conversations, their playtime. Asterisk, even as the girls grew older. He continued entering their room without knocking. Asterisk, privacy did not exist for them, and neither did individuality. Asterisk, their mother, Mrs. Ginian, was too frightened and emotionally broken to intervene. Asterisk, she had learned that questioning her husband led to anger, silence, or worse. Asterisk, trauma from her own childhood kept her distant, unable to comfort the daughters who desperately needed her protection. Asterisk, at school, the quadruplets were an attraction. Asterisk, teachers and classmates stared at their identical faces, their matching hairstyles, their synchronized movements. They were never treated as individuals. The quadruplets was the only name people used. Never Nora, never Iris, never Hester. Afra, Hesterisk, the girls clung to each other, forming a private world only they could understand. Coded language developed between them, a phenomenon later identified as cryptophagia. Asterisk to outsiders. It sounded like nonsense. Asterisk to the sisters. It was the only safe place left. A secret refuge built from shared trauma. But even this sanctuary had limits. No secret language could shield them from their father's increasingly disturbing behavior. Asterisk, as puberty approached, Mr. Ginian's control grew darker. Asterisk, he insisted on supervising their baths. Long past an appropriate age, he made comments about their developing bodies. He forbade any talk with boys, even innocent ones at school. Every phone call was monitored. Every outing tracked. Asterisk. Every friendship discouraged. Asterisk. The sisters felt trapped. Identical faces. Identical clothes. Identical rules. Identical fear. 4 girls living the same life. 4 minds quietly cracking under the same pressure. Asterisk. And yet, asterisk, even in this suffocating sameness, tiny differences in their experiences were forming. Asterisk differences that no one noticed. Asterisk differences that would later explode into 4 completely different versions of schizophrenia. Asterisk, the seeds of madness had been planted. Asterisk, the soil was the same. But each girl would grow her own nightmare. The break didn't happen all at once. It came quietly. Almost silently, like a hairline crack spreading across a sheet of glass. Asterisk, but once it began, nothing could stop it. Nora, the first to slip away at 15 years old. Nora changed. Asterisk, she withdrew into herself, sitting alone for hours, staring into empty corners as if listening to something nobody else could hear. Asterisk, her words became tangled, sentences starting one way and ending somewhere else entirely. Asterisk teachers noticed the shift. Her grades collapsed. She laughed at strange moments, grimaced without reason, lost herself in a fog that grew thicker each month. She was the first domino. Iris. The voices began. Asterisk. 6 months later. Iris followed. Asterisk, but where Nora drifted quietly, Iris fell loudly. Asterisk, she began hearing voices. Whispers at first. Then full conversations. Critics, commentators, commanders. They talked about her, to her, through her. Asterisk, when her mother found her speaking to an empty corner of the room. Iris calmly explained she was talking to the television men, still images on the screen, who, in her mind, were sending her coded instructions. Her world split into 2. The world everyone else saw, and the world only she could hear. Myra, the body turned to stone. Asterisk. Then it was Myra. Her symptoms were the most alarming. She sank into long, motionless states, not blinking, not speaking, barely breathing. Catatonia. Asterisk. And when she wasn't frozen, she was frantic, rearranging objects into patterns that made sense only to her. Asterisk, her face emptied of emotion, her eyes wide and hollow as if she were staring into another dimension. Hester. The world becomes a threat by 17. The last sister, Hester, descended into paranoia. Asterisk. She believed neighbors were poisoning her. Food. Asterisk. She believed the government was monitoring her. Thoughts. Asterisk. She believed people on the street were plotting her death. Asterisk. She even feared her own. Sisters. Asterisk. 4 sisters. 4 different realities. Asterisk. In 1952. After years of mounting symptoms, all 4 were officially diagnosed with schizophrenia. Asterisk for the medical world. This was a miracle of science. Asterisk for the sisters. It was the final collapse of the fragile world they'd once shared. 4 identical genomes. 4 identical faces. 4 different versions of madness. A pattern no one had ever seen before. A pattern that would change psychiatry forever. By 1954, the story of the 4 identical sisters who all developed schizophrenia had begun, circulating quietly through medical circles. Researchers were stunned. Doctors whispered. Hospitals exchanged letters. And then one man understood exactly what this meant. Dr. David Rosenthal, the scientist who saw the truth. Asterisk at the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH. Asterisk, Dr. David Rosenthal read about the quadruplets and immediately recognized what others had missed. This wasn't just a rare case. It was a natural experiment that science could never have created on its own. Asterisk 4. Genetically identical human beings. Asterisk the same. DNA, the same home, the same parents. Asterisk yet, each with a different version of the same devastating illness. Asterisk, if there was ever a chance to understand nature versus nurture. This was it. The invitation that changed their lives, asterisk. Dr. Rosenthal contacted the Ginian family personally, asterisk. He explained that their daughters could receive cutting-edge treatment, asterisk, better than anything available in their small town, while also helping answer one of the greatest scientific questions of the century. For Mrs. Ginian, whose generation had been wrongly taught that mothers caused schizophrenia, this was a chance to clear her own name. She agreed, asterisk, in 1955. All four sisters were moved to Nam AMH in Bethesda, Maryland, asterisk. It would become their home. In their laboratory for the next 3 years, asterisk life. Inside the most advanced psychiatric facility in America, asterisk. The quadruplets were placed in a special research wing, asterisk. Their days were filled with psychological interviews, neurological exams, group therapy sessions, individual therapy sessions, sleep recordings, behavior, observations, medication trials, every step, asterisk, every emotion, every hallucination, every moment of clarity, all recorded, all analyzed, asterisk, all. Compared, asterisk files grew thicker with each passing month, asterisk doctors debated. Endlessly, asterisk students came from universities to observe them. They were no longer four sisters. They were the most important psychiatric case in America. Asterisk what the first tests revealed, asterisk, after the initial evaluations. One shocking truth became clear. Asterisk, although the sisters had identical DNA, their illnesses were not identical at all. Nora had the mildest form. Asterisk. Iris had hallucinations, but moments of self-awareness. Asterisk. Hester lived in a fortress of paranoia. Asterisk. Myra was trapped in the most severe, devastating version. A near-permanent psychological storm. Asterisk. Same genes, different minds, different scars, different fates. The scientific world had never seen anything like it. Asterisk, and researchers knew. Asterisk, something beyond genetics was shaping these girls' lives. The question now was what? Once researchers accepted that genetics alone could not explain the four sisters' different outcomes, they turned their attention to something far more complicated, their childhood. The deeper they looked, the darker the truth became. Nora, the slight advantage that saved her. Nora, the firstborn by only a few minutes, had received something the others didn't, asterisk, a little more time. With her mother during the earliest days of life, asterisk, a few extra minutes of holding, asterisk, a few more moments of skin-to-skin comfort, asterisk, a slightly stronger bond before the chaos of raising. 4 babies set in. Asterisk, researchers realized something remarkable. Those small differences acted as a weak but real protective shield. Her symptoms were the mildest for a reason. Asterisk, Iris. The dreamer who built her own armor, asterisk, Iris had always been the most verbal, the most imaginative. As a child, she invented elaborate fantasies to escape the suffocating atmosphere at home. Asterisk. Those fantasies eventually twisted into delusions, asterisk, but in a strange way. They protected her. Her mind gave her a story where she wasn't powerless, where she had a mission, where she mattered. Her schizophrenia was real and painful, but her imagination softened its brutality. Myra, the father's favorite, and his victim Myra's story was the most horrifying. Through interviews, diaries, and therapy sessions, researchers learned that she had suffered the worst and most invasive attention from her father. Asterisk, she was watched more, controlled more, touched more, sexualized more. Her trauma was the deepest, her fear the strongest, her mind the most shattered. Asterisk, it was no coincidence. She developed the most severe, catatonic form of the illness. The worst environment produced the worst outcome. Hester, the girl taught to fear everything, asterisk. The youngest was punished most often, asterisk, even tiny mistakes. Triggered harsh reactions from her father, asterisk, she learned early. That the world was dangerous, Asterisk that. People could not be trusted. Asterisk that staying alert was the only way to survive. Asterisk that childhood trauma matured into her adult psychosis, paranoia. Her delusions weren't random. Asterisk, they were an extreme version of lessons learned in childhood. Asterisk, 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 same home, same parents, same DNA. Asterisk, but not the same lives. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk for the first time. Researchers saw the truth clearly. Asterisk even when 4 children grow up under the same roof. They do not live the same childhood. Small differences. Asterisk who is comforted more. Who is punished more. Who is protected more. Who is targeted more. Shape the brain in profound ways. Asterisk the breakthrough that changed. Psychiatry forever, the quadruplets proved a concept that later became central to modern mental health. Greater than. Trauma changes gene expression. Genes change how trauma is experienced. And together, they shape mental illness. This was the birth of what scientists would later call epigenetics. And it started with 4 girls whose identical lives were never actually identical. Asterisk, asterisk. By the late 1950s, the 4 sisters had become the center of one of the most intense psychiatric research programs in American history. The world was changing, medicine was advancing, and psychiatry was racing to catch up. Asterisk, but for Nora, Iris, Myra, and Hester, these advances often brought more suffering than relief. The first antipsychotic medications, hope with a cost asterisk, the new drugs of the 1950s, chlorpromazine, thorazine, haloperidol, were advertised as miracles. Asterisk, and for the first time ever. Psychiatry had something that could reduce hallucinations and psychosis, but reality was far more complicated. Nora, whose illness was the mildest, responded somewhat well. Asterisk, her thoughts became clearer. The fog of confusion lifted slightly, but the side effects were brutal. Asterisk, trembling. Hands, severe weight gain, emotional numbness, asterisk, constant. Lethargy, she once described it as, the medicine quiets my mind, but it kills my soul. Iris had a love-hate relationship with medication. When she took it, her terrifying voices softened, but she hated the emptiness it left behind. And during her periods of lucidity, she often refused treatment, insisting it interfered with her special mission. Asterisk, her illness made her distrustful, and the medication made her feel less like herself. Asterisk, Hester was nearly impossible to treat. Asterisk, her paranoia convinced her that doctors were poisoning her. Asterisk, she hid pills in her cheek, spit them out, refused injections, fought nurses, and interpreted every dose as an attack. Asterisk, for someone whose whole world was built on fear. Treatment became just another threat, but Myra suffered the most. Doctors increased her dosages repeatedly. Asterisk when that failed. They combined multiple drugs. Asterisk when that failed. They tried even stronger ones. Nothing worked. She developed tardive dyskinesia, an irreversible side effect. Asterisk involuntary facial movements, tongue spasms, grimaces she could not control. Asterisk, she was the sister who suffered the most trauma. And now she suffered the most from the medication meant to help her. Asterisk, electroconvulsive therapy, the shock that erased memories. Asterisk. In 1950s and 1960s, ECT, shock therapy, was common, and all 4 sisters received it. Sometimes it calmed their agitation or reduced depression, but the cost was devastating. Memory loss, asterisk entire months. Even years erased, memories already broken by schizophrenia were shattered further by the treatment. Asterisk their past, their identity, their moments of clarity, all blurred by electricity. Life spent under observation. Asterisk. While the medical world celebrated the quadruplets as a scientific treasure, asterisk, their daily lives were painfully restricted. Endless interviews, endless tests, endless questions, endless eyes watching them. Asterisk, they were treated, but they were also studied relentlessly. Asterisk, doctors took notes while they cried. Asterisk, students observed while they broke down. Researchers analyzed while their minds unraveled. They were patients, subjects, case studies, and victims, all at once. The question no one wanted to ask, were they helped by science? Yes. Were they also used by science? Yes, they received the best treatment available for their era. But they also paid the highest price. Their privacy, asterisk, their autonomy, their dignity. A lifetime spent not only fighting schizophrenia, asterisk, but also being dissected by a medical system. Desperate for answers, asterisk, a painful truth emerged. The quadruplets changed psychiatry forever, but medicine, in return, broke them further. By the late 1960s, after years of interviews, tests, treatments, and data, the researchers felt they finally understood what the quadruplets represented. Asterisk. What they uncovered would change psychiatry forever. The death of the old theory for decades. Psychiatry was at war with itself. Two camps. 1. Genes cause schizophrenia. Asterisk. 2. Bad parenting causes schizophrenia. No middle ground. No nuance. Asterisk. No mercy. Especially for mothers, asterisk, in the 1950s. It was common to blame mothers for their children's mental illness, asterisk cold. Mothers, distant mothers, schizophrenic. Mothers, asterisk, a cruel lie that destroyed countless families, asterisk, but the quadruplets ended that argument forever. Because here was the truth. Greater than 4 girls with identical genes did not develop identical schizophrenia. The old theories collapsed overnight. The birth of a new understanding. The biopsychosocial model asterisk, the scientists studying the sisters, reached a revolutionary conclusion. Schizophrenia didn't come from genes alone. It didn't come from the environment alone. Asterisk, it came from the collision between the two. Asterisk. Their discovery became the foundation of modern psychiatry. The biopsychosocial model. This model recognizes that mental illness is shaped by asterisk biology, genes, brain chemistry, asterisk psychology, trauma, stress, coping skills, asterisk social environment, family, community, safety, asterisk for the first time. Psychiatry had a balanced human understanding of mental illness, asterisk the first clues of epigenetics, asterisk even. More groundbreaking was something scientists barely understood at the time, asterisk the idea that trauma can change how genes behave. The quadruplets proved that trauma can activate harmful genes, safety can deactivate them, stress can change gene expression without changing DNA, asterisk years later. This would be known as epigenetics, asterisk, one of the most important scientific breakthroughs of the modern era, asterisk, but the first. Evidence came from these 4 sisters, why their case became legendary, their lives. Helped scientists understand, asterisk, why. Identical twins don't always share identical. Fates, asterisk, why trauma affects some more deeply than others, asterisk, why early childhood experiences shaped lifelong mental health, asterisk, why no. Treatment works the same for everyone, asterisk, their suffering became data, asterisk, their pain became evidence. Their lives became a lesson that continues today. What the world learned from them, asterisk, because of the quadruplets. We now know, asterisk, mental illness is not anyone's fault. Trauma matters profoundly. Genetics is powerful, but not. Destiny. Treatment must fit the individual early. Intervention can change outcomes, asterisk, blaming mothers is scientifically wrong and morally cruel, asterisk. Their case became a turning point, asterisk, the moment psychiatry stepped out of darkness, asterisk, and into a more humane scientific understanding of the human mind, asterisk, but behind all this progress, 4 sisters were losing their lives to an illness they never chose. Their legacy was enormous, but their personal cost was immeasurable. As the years passed, the scientific world celebrated the Ginian quadruplets as a landmark case, a breakthrough, a miracle of research, a key that unlocked psychiatry's deepest questions. Asterisk. But for the sisters themselves, the story was far more tragic and personal. Asterisk. Their lives were not just footnotes in medical textbooks. Asterisk. They were real women who lived, suffered, aged, and ultimately died under the weight of an illness they could never escape. Nora, the quiet fighter Nora, the eldest by a few minutes, lived the longest. Asterisk, she reached the age of 82, spending her final decades in a long-term care facility. Asterisk, her illness remained mild compared to her sisters, and she often had long periods of clarity. Asterisk, but she never lived. Independently, she never married. She never had children. Asterisk, her world remained small and carefully supervised. Her death was peaceful, but her life had never truly been her own. Asterisk Iris. The woman of two worlds, Iris, died at 76. Even in her final years, she still believed she had a purpose, a mission waiting to reveal itself. Her delusions never fully left. But she also never lost her strange spark of insight. Doctors often said she seemed half inside reality and half outside it. She lived her entire life walking between two worlds. Myra, the most broken, and the most abandoned. Asterisk Myra died at 73, after spending nearly all her adult years in hospitals and institutions. Her trauma had been deepest. Asterisk her illness the most severe. Asterisk her treatments the harshest. Asterisk she never experienced true freedom for even a single day of adulthood. She died in the same state she had lived, silent, fragile, unreachable. Hester, a life lived in fear. Hester lived to 80. Asterisk with age. Her paranoia slowly softened, not disappearing, but losing its sharpest edges. She trusted almost no one, except occasionally the nurses who cared for her during her calmer years. Her life was defined by fear. Asterisk, a fear planted in childhood and never uprooted. Asterisk, none married. None had children. All four consumed by the illness. They helped to define. Asterisk, their entire adult lives were shaped by hospitals, institutions, medications, experiments, interviews, research, papers, observation rooms, clinical notes. Asterisk, while the world learned from them, they never received the life that other women their age enjoyed, helped, or exploited. The unanswerable question, their case remains ethically controversial. Did modern psychiatry benefit from them? Absolutely. Their lives changed how millions are treated today. Asterisk. But did the sisters benefit? That answer is far more painful. They received the best care of the era. Asterisk. But they were also studied endlessly. Asterisk. Recorded, analyzed, measured, questioned, treated as subjects more than humans. Consent was complicated. Asterisk privacy nearly non-existent. And their vulnerabilities were on display for decades. Their greatest gift to the world. Asterisk, despite all their suffering. Asterisk, the quadruplets left behind a legacy that reshaped science. They proved mental illness is not caused by mothers. They proved genes are powerful but not destiny. Asterisk, they proved trauma can change gene expression. Asterisk, they proved identical DNA does not produce identical lives. Asterisk, they birthed a modern approach to mental health, the biopsychosocial model. Their story continues to be taught in universities. Asterisk cited in research papers. Asterisk and honored by psychiatrists who understand the magnitude of their contribution. Asterisk, the final truth. Asterisk, the Ginian quadruplets will never speak again. Asterisk, their identities remain hidden behind pseudonyms. But their data, their stories, asterisk, their suffering, continue to teach the world something essential, greater than behind every diagnosis is a human being. Asterisk, behind every statistic is a life lived. Asterisk. And the human mind is shaped not by fate alone, but by everything it touches. Four identical sisters, four different destinies, one legacy that outlived them all. Asterisk.